different today. Here in our beautiful state, I figured I would come over here because this is actually well, I won't say the birthplace, but where she grew up here in Connecticut of one Candace Owens. And if you don't believe me, the only thing you gotta do is go ask Candace yourself. So let me turn this camera around real quick. I want to show y'all. This is actually the area where Candace Owens grew up at. And many of y'all know Candace Owens, if you didn't know, is from right here in Connecticut, right on this street right here. So you see this street right here? This is actually the street. What's going on, Javon? This is actually the street right here where Candace Owens grew up at. Now, she's from White Plains, New York, but this is where she grew up at right here in Connecticut. And I'm going to pan the camera down. And you can see Candace actually came from some very humble environments right here in Connecticut. This will be her street right here, which this street actually extends down and goes a little bit further down back there. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to get to the point of why I'm bringing. Thank you, Javon. I appreciate that. I'm going to get to the point of why I'm bringing her up, why I'm talking about her. But as you can see from this street right here, and I'm going to break it all down for you. This street is literally two places, right? So one half of the street, especially when Candace was growing up, one half of the street was Jamaican, and then the other half of the street was really just like Haitian. You understand what I'm saying? Very humble area. And this is the area where Candace Owens grew up at, right here in Connecticut. And I'm pretty sure if you share this video with her, she won't have one bit of argument with you. You know what I'm saying? But this is actually the neighborhood. And I wanted to show you guys this to show you that she comes from humble beginnings. She literally does, you know? And I'm going to put you guys on to something else not too far from here. But this is all Candace Owens' neighborhood right here. We are later live on location. I brought y'all up here because here in the state, before Candace Owens ended up becoming the sensation that she was, she had a little big problem not too far from here. Many people in this town know, which was she sued the local high school here for racial discrimination. And she won. She won. She won a significant amount of money. She went and ended up going to Rhode Island University, which is right up the street here. I tell people all the time, this right here, if you live in this corridor, it's New York, Jersey, Philly, Delaware, Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Once again, if you're just turning in, we are here at the birthplace right here. Well, not in the birthplace, but where she grew up here in Connecticut, of one Candace Owens. And I just wanted to show you guys her humble beginnings. This is actually the street that Candace grew up on. Feel free to tag Candace, verify this for yourself. You know, shout out to Candace. Candace, what's going on, Mom? And like I said, this is a very humble area right here in CT. And I figured I'd come right up here. This is the street she grew up on right here. This is Spruce Street, right here in Connecticut. And I said, well, let's come up here. I said, let me skedaddle across town real quick. You know what I'm saying? Come over here and film this piece for y'all because I felt like Candace gets a lot of backlash and things like that a lot of times. And a lot of people just don't realize that Candace actually has good intentions. You know what I mean? Candace, if many of y'all don't know, was very pro-black. Very pro-black. When she first started out, she started out as a Democrat, believe it or not. Candace Owens also fought for the plight of a lot of black American people, even though her heritage is similar to mine, where she shares some DNA that is Caribbean. And so a lot of people wanted to bite Candace Owens off, but trust me when I tell you, this is where Candace Owens is from. This is her town, and she's very revered here. You understand what I'm saying? For real. And this is a very liberal state, mind you. Connecticut is a very liberal state, always has been. But I felt the need to come over here to show you guys that she actually comes from humble beginnings, because a lot of people say, oh, well, she ain't from the hood. She don't know this. Well, yes, she is. Yes, she is. This is the area, and I don't want to pull up in front of the exact house. I know the exact house and everything, but so I just put it like this because it's people that live there now and stuff like that. I don't want them to feel like any old type of way. But I wanted to bring y'all up here to show y'all this, to just say, when you hear Candace Owens talking, and especially a lot of female voters, they were kind of upset. I've heard the rhetoric going around. I'm not voting for either or. or trying to push either or. But I will say this much. She did break down Kamala Harris. Hey, Lexi, what's going on? She did break down Kamala Harris quite well. And she extracted a whole bunch of truths that we had already thought but couldn't confirm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I like to say this is from a hometown girl here in Connecticut, Candace Owens. So shout out to Candace Owens. This is the street that she's actually grew up on right here. Many of y'all know Candace Owens from different parts of media, to give it a take or whatever, a few. But this is where she grew up at, right here in Connecticut. And I feel free, like I said to everybody else, and I'll tell you again, feel free to tag Candace Owens, let her know that we're talking about her, whatever, whatever. She's a local girl here, like I said before. And we're right here on scene where Candace grew up, right here in Connecticut, you know? And I like to talk about things like this or whatever, because a lot of times people will try to fixate together and they'll say, oh, this person ain't hood, this person ain't that. I like Candace too. This person ain't this person ain't that. Well, she's receiving a lot of backlash. And just for the town, I got to take up for her. You know, she's been receiving a lot of backlash for what she said about Kamala Harris. She is now broken down that Kamala Harris had some doctored photos that she had fixed. She figured out that Kamala Harris had actually somehow or another positioned her head on a white woman's body that worked at McDonald's or Wendy's or something like that years ago. We got lint of that or whatever. And some reason or another, everybody wants to come down crashing on Candace Owens. And I said, well, what did she say wrong? What did she say wrong? She didn't say nothing wrong. She didn't say anything wrong at all. And that's the reason I came down here. I said, you know what? I've been seeing her getting pounded. I've been seeing people come at her. I've been seeing people attack her. And I said, but why? What did she do? What did she do? And nobody has an answer. What she did was she came in the middle and in the way of a candidate that otherwise purposely, if it wouldn't have been for the failure of one person to grab attention of the public, she wouldn't even have been considered. She would have been out the door just as well with Biden when he would have lost, in my personal opinion, based on what the demographics show right now. That's not based on favoritism of either other party. This is based on the numbers that we're seeing right now. It looks like Trump's going to win. And so, and days could change within, what we got, 7, 8 days left? Days could change. But once again, let me turn this camera around, pan this around. We are here live on location. This is the birth home, well, where she grew up at. She was actually born in White Plains, which is not too far from here. But this is where Candace Owens grew up at, in this neighborhood right here, which extends to literally over here as well, as you guys can see. So this is a continuation of that street over here. So I came over here to this side of Connecticut because I wanted to show you guys, like I always do. Like I said, I don't like doing lives in my bedroom and everything like that. But this is where Candace Owens grew up at. So the, you know, the sensation that you guys know on camera and different political stances or whatever, she grew up right here in Connecticut. And we've got some other people that are famous here in Connecticut too, especially from this area of Connecticut. We got Dr. Joyce Yearwood. We've got, what's that girl's name? She was press secretary with the red hair, Jen Psaki. She's from here. You know, we got some very, very influential people that are from here in Connecticut. I think people don't know how influential it is. The Bush family lived here for over 30 years, not too far from here in New Haven, Connecticut. They were here for, I mean, a long time. It was when, I think, George Bush Jr., he left his constituency in the White House and they decided to pack it up and move back to Texas. Let me zoom in over here. Let me show y'all this right here. So y'all know the street and everything like that. And feel free to tag Candace Owens if you would, and tell her, yo, we down here, you know, the town taking off for, we see everything she going through, and we just ain't gonna let her go through it like that. This is the actual street right here, which is Spruce Street. Feel free to go ahead and look that up if you like to or whatever to confirm it. I know a lot of people are doubters or whatever, but this is where Candace Owens grew up at. Now, Candace is originally from, believe it or not, White Plains, New York, which is right down the block here. I mean, we're not talking far. But Candace grew up right here on this street right here in beautiful Connecticut. And I ran the story through to people. Candace at one time became famous before she even hit the media. Candance sued the local high school here for racial discrimination. And for a lot of people, if you lived in Connecticut a long, long time, you know, every now and then you'll run into some racial situations here. So I just wanted to let Candace Owens know the town is with you. This is where you're from. Candace Owens is a reared political figure, and should not be ignored, should be respected. Candace Owens originally started out taking up heavily, and I do mean heavily, for Black American people. And if you go back to some of her earlier testimony, you would quite easily see that. And I see this a lot. I see that people, if they talk in a certain octave or they are a certain way or whatever the case may be, a lot of times, yeah, she came up from a lawsuit. Well, she didn't come up from the lawsuit really, but she filed a lawsuit and she won it justifiably, you know. And so she sued the local high school here. It was everybody here knew about it. She sued the local high school here, and ultimately ended up winning the case. We'll turn the camera around on me. Ultimately ended up winning the case or whatever, and she ended up from that point there going on to Rhode Island University. She graduated from Rhode Island University. Well, she didn't graduate from Rhode Island University. She actually stopped going to Rhode Island University a year before she graduated, and she was studying at that time journalism. So Candace Owens ended up getting out of that pickle. She ended up getting a settlement money from here locally at the high school, and she moved on with her political career as you know her right now. Now, Candace, like I said before, she's not only from this town, but she's from this particular street that I'm on right now. And many of us, we respect Candace Owens for being from the town. A lot of people respect Candace Owens as being somebody that's revered and had an opinion. A lot of people across the nation don't really understand the background in which she comes from, and a lot of people don't understand that she was very pro-Black starting out. She took care of the problem from what I heard it. That's right. She took care of the problem. And that's why I said I had to come down here, because I saw her taking such a bashing lately from a lot of pundits, a lot of individuals that want to see her. See, a lot of people want to see Candace Owens' voice silenced, because not what she's saying necessarily, but there's a possibility that y'all can wake the fuck up and hear what she's saying and be like, oh snap, she was right, you know? And I think that's what y'all do unjustifiably with a lot of us. Listen here. There are coons. There are tap dancers. They're in all religions. They're all trash in all religions and racists and everything else. I get that. But sometimes I think in the urban department, I think you unjustifiably judge people based on the fact of what you're used to hearing in your individual neighborhoods or whatever. Somebody just came up here and said earlier, she ain't hood. Well, this is where Candace Owens is from. Very humble, as you can see. We need women doing like stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not going to show y'all the specific house where Candace grew up in, because there's other people living there now. So I just wanted to show you where she grew up at. Now, does this look like it's a rich neighborhood? Because a lot of people, they'll say, oh, well, she's rich and, you know, she grew up well. That's why she talks like that. No. This is where Candace Owens grew up at. You see the cracks in the sidewalk? You see that? I'm gonna walk y'all over here real quick, show y'all the sign. Feel free to look any of this up if you judge by doubt or something like that. Oh, that ain't it. Oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Right here, it's the name of the street, Spruce Street. Spruce Street actually extends down, but this is where she grew up at. Right here. They don't teach you to sue in high school, yet alone middle school. 18, you get your first job. That's right, Nico. And she sued for some racial discrimination. You know, like I talk about all the time how I grew up around a lot of Italians and Greeks or whatever. And some of those Italians and Greeks, they weren't some of the nicest people in the world, but the majority of them were. Some were racist and they try to, simulate themselves or whatever. But right here on Spruce Street, this is where Candace Owens grew up at, right here. And so we hold homage to Candace. She's a townie. She's from the town. And I'm going to pan over here so you guys can see the neighborhood itself. It's a very humble neighborhood. You know what I mean? But this is where the political force, as Candace Owens, grew up at, right in this neighborhood right here in Connecticut. And I want to just say one thing about a couple of things. Number one, Candace Owens started out being pro-Black. Candace Owens, in this city right here, ended up suing a local high school because of some racial discrimination. Yes, we do have racial problems here in Connecticut. Everybody's very much aware of it. If you lived in the town before, you know that. You know what I'm saying? But for the majority of us, we don't have those hard times as far as like the down south would have, or many times in New York when it comes to racism. For the most part, everybody gets along here. You know what I'm saying? Even the races are pretty nice. Isn't that a beautiful sunset? I just looked at that just a minute ago. Isn't that beautiful right there? It's a beautiful sunset, isn't it? I got to get ready to head up out of here in a little bit, get myself all the way back home for home, man. I'm way across town right now, but I wanted to show you guys this to let you know we have a lot of pertinent people that are from here in the state of Connecticut, including Dr. Joyce Yearwood. She's from this area. If many of y'all don't know who Dr. Joyce Yearwood is, look her up. Also Jen Psaki, who was the press secretary for the United States White House, formerly the press secretary. She was the one that was before the black lady that you see now. She was a lady with the red hair. That's Jen Psaki. She's also from here. We see Jen around every now and then. She's not been here too much recently because of that book she wrote. You know, she on tour with it. But shout out to Jen Psaki. She's a townie. You know what I mean? This town business right here. But I wanted to come up here and talk about Candance very quickly because I see Candance Owens is taking a lot of flack in the media for her words about Kamala Harris and everything like that or whatever. And as you see these humble backgrounds that she comes from right here, be alert of something. One, I saw people jump down the throats of Janet Jackson over Kamala Harris. I saw people jump down the backs and down the spine of Candance Owens because she pointed out things that would just happen to be true. This woman did alter a photo, put her head on top of an otherwise white female, which was posed and put forth by Tariq Nasheed even. You know, so, you know, whatever form of the spectrum that you're on, the thing I want to talk about is Candance Owens is from right here. She's from right here in Connecticut. And we paid homage to Candance Owens. We look at Candance Owens as someone that was standing up for the black plight, if you want to say. And I think a lot of people remove Candance Owens from that plight based on their internal feelings or whatever. And I want to say this to a lot of African-American people that are out there. A lot of African-Americans have got to start realizing that everybody doesn't talk in old slave dialogue. You understand? A lot of African-Americans have got to understand that a lot of other African-Americans that maybe you've never been privy to, they all don't talk in Ebonics. A lot of African-Americans that you talk to, and I'm talking this amongst other African-Americans, a lot of African-Americans you talk to are highly educated, and they didn't grow up in the same environment that you did. That's why when I have women, sometimes when I make some of the comments that I make, and I have women come up here and they say, well, your mama black. I said, well, yeah, you're right. My mother is black, but my mother didn't talk like you. My mother wouldn't even hang out with women like you. My mother didn't circle herself around women like you. So the only similarities they do have is skin color. And we got to stop doing that. There's a lot of guys out here, believe it or not, you'll see them and they'll appear to you to be hood or something like that. These kids are growing up with parents that maybe one of them was a doctor or a nurse or something like that, or whatever the case may be, you never know. But the reason I came up here for Candance Owens was because she's so unjustly many of times, and I'm saying this as her being a hometown girl here from here in Connecticut. So a lot of times she's unjustifiably, like, they put a purge on her or something, like, you know what I mean? Hey, what's going on, Ruby Johnson? Nothing much. We up here. This is the home of Candance Owens right here where she grew up at. I tried to come over here and make it as quick as I could. I had some other things to do. Guys, make sure y'all hit that like button. We are on site here at the home of where she grew up here in Connecticut. Of one Candance Owens. Shout out to Candance Owens. We got you, girl. We got you. Yeah, we're going to stop all that. Because, listen, one thing Candance Owens didn't do was she didn't lie. Another thing Candance Owens didn't do, she ain't used no fake accents. Another thing Candance Owens didn't do, she ain't never told us any other way she felt except for the way she felt. Thank you very much, Nico. And so the problem I have is when you have so many people online after she's proven, and yes, she has proven, she's proven that Kamala Harris was lying to y'all. Kamala Harris put her head and fully and doctored a photo with her head on a white female to make it look like she used to work at a Burger King or Wendy's or something back in the days. I think it was a Wendy's. But I don't know if you guys have seen that picture. Go see. That picture's been debunked by Candance Owens. Candance Owens also debunked her on the accents. Candance Owens debunked her on a lot of things. And like I told y'all before, y'all hear that music right there playing? Candance Owens is Jamaican. I believe she's Jamaican or Trini, half of her. You heard that Trini music that's pulling in right there? One side of this over here, of this street, Spruce Street, one side of it is Jamaican, And the opposite side has always been known as being Haitian. So historically here in Connecticut, we know that or whatever, just based on the street and everything like that. But Candance Owens, this is her hometown, you know? And she sued the local high school here for some racial discrimination back in the days and won a settlement. Ended up moving from that position and going on to go to Rhode Island University. And subsequently, she didn't graduate from Rhode Island University, but she did end up doing one thing. Well, she ended up being a preponderance in what now you call the political game. She is a figure. And so I don't like the fact that I saw so many journalists, specifically African-American journalists, come down on the back of Candance Owens like she was telling lies, like she wasn't telling the truth. And I said, well, what did she lie about? You know? So I felt with myself, I said, let me step in, speak for the sisters. See, I don't mind speaking for sisters. I don't speak for the thotty-otties, but I'll speak for the sisters. You understand what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. If you're a black woman versus one of the thotty-otties, I always got your back. So as a local girl here, I'm gonna ask y'all very kindly to back the fuck off of Candance Owens. She ain't saying nothing wrong. She gave y'all exactly what y'all needed to see, reality. And if you can't see reality for what it is, and that Kamala Harris has done a lot of lying, Kamala Harris has done a lot of acting, and know how to separate her politics versus her gender, then you too may find out a lot of things. And I'm not advocating for Trump. Don't think that I'm doing that. That would be ridiculous of me. I don't advocate for any candidate, all right? But what I do stand for is the truth. And the truth is, this woman is in a photo, Kamala Harris, and it was supposed to be when she was, I don't know, 16 or 17 years old. And the photo is obviously doctored. Tariq Nasheed himself put each picture side each other, and I believe it was somebody else, and you can see where the picture is doctored. So being right here, the home place of Candance Owens, she grew up here in the city. She's a Connecticut girl. I felt it my solemn duty when I seen all these ragamuffins that don't know nothing about politics to come down here and stick up for the sister. Now, don't get me confused with taking up for the thotty-otties. I don't take up for the thotty-otties. That means everybody, you know, everybody that worships Sukihana and Sexy Red and, you know, you a strip club girl. I'm not taking up for you. This ain't for you. This is for the women that put in work, that bust their ass or whatever. Those are the women I grew up around. Those are the women I respect. Understand the difference now? So once again, leave them sticks alone, brother. I hear you, man. I hear you. Truth seekers and truth tellers always get backlash because they don't take the truth out. That's a fact. That's what I love about her. She's a great journalist. She absolutely is. And what did Candance Owens say wrong about Kamala Harris is what I'm trying to figure out. So before it gets too dark out here, y'all, I just wanted to come over here real quick. Let me turn this around. This is actually Candance Owens' neighborhood right here. This is where she grew up at. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because it's getting a little dark here. I saw I couldn't have got over here earlier, y'all. This is across town from me, so. But as you can see from the cracks in the concrete, because a lot of people sit up there and say, well, she ain't hood. She don't know our struggles. She don't know nothing about us. Candance Owens ain't hood. Yeah, Candance Owens is hooded than a motherfucker. All right, I'm gonna walk y'all over here real quick before I sign off. This is actually the street that Candance Owens grew up on. Feel free to look this up for yourself, and you'll see for yourself. But she's a hometown girl, just like Jen Psaki, former press secretary of the United States White House. Also, Dr. Joyce Yearwood and a couple of others. They're all from right here in Connecticut. So this is local town business for us. See what I'm saying? Especially if you're amongst the people that grew up in Connecticut, you know Connecticut like the back of your hand, as such as I do, and enjoy some of the things that actually she has to say regarding what's going on or whatever. So once again, guys, we are here. This is the neighborhood, actually, that she grew up in. Candance Owens is originally from White Plains, New York, but since her early days, she has always grown up here in Connecticut. She was a resident of Connecticut up until recently when she moved to Texas not too long ago. And we just want to come over here and pay some homage to Candance and let her know the town with you. We hear what you're saying. There might be a couple people that ain't with you from the town, but we are. Connecticut is not a racist state. I don't know what you hear, but there's some racist people here. There's racist people everywhere. Out of the places I've been to in the United States, I would say one of the most racist places I've ever been to would probably be Florida, and second to that, probably Alabama. That would be the second one. Alabama wasn't that bad, but it was racist enough. And they were racist not only against the blacks down there, but they had a Mexican population down there that they were even more racist against. You know what I'm saying? Which was odd to me too. But the Latinos they had down there, they were working, picking the corn. They were doing all the jobs formerly that blacks had did traditionally. So that's what they've come down there to replace, basically. I stand with Candance. I appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all tap Candance or tag her and let her know. You know what I mean? The town got her back. You know what I mean? So it just really disturbed me when I saw so many people coming to Candace Owens, and I'm like, oh, hold up, she from the town though. She from Connecticut. So I had to speak on something because I was like, yo, there's too many people coming at her. What she say wrong? Everything she said about Kamala Harris was the truth. Kamala Harris doctored the photo, and it was a white girl. You understand what I'm saying? She took the head and put her head on it. Kamala Harris then switched up accents like 13, 14 times right in front of us. You understand what I'm saying? I'm supposed to ignore these things that Candace Owens has definitively proven. I'm supposed to ignore those things based on something, how somebody's feelings are, and whether or not the gender of the president or whatever. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Not doing that at all. You know what? I don't know what all that speech mean, what Esau and all that, but I will say this much. I get what you're saying. 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 To answer that question you asked me, Connecticut racist? Now, I wouldn't say so, but there's certain parts of Connecticut you can go to, you can feel lost if you're black or Latino. I've been to them. Go out to Shelton, Connecticut. You're going to feel the difference real quick. Go out to Windsor, Connecticut. You're going to feel the difference real quick. There's a couple of spots you could go out to in Connecticut, and as someone, you would have a better chance as being someone that's black American than you would being and I don't mean this to be insulting, being an immigrant or somebody with an accent in those same areas. We've seen it firsthand. You know what I mean? They usually get a little harder thrust out there in those areas or whatever. You have a lot of people out there that are traditionally, how can I say it? I won't say they're racist. They're just more traditional than anything. And so if you know the state of Connecticut, you would know that much. In the part of Connecticut where I live at, it's totally the opposite. You've got everybody here. So in the cities in Connecticut, it's a little less prevalent because you've got more blacks and Latinos. But in the smaller constituencies, that's what Connecticut is really made up of. It's made up of counties and little constituencies and maybe one city within the county. So you got New Haven County, you got Hartford County, you got New London County, and you got here where I live at with Fairfield County, which is the greatest stretch. Geez, I would end up in jail. You might. And then sometimes, you know, I gotta say, sometimes it's just good damn police work. You know, I'm not somebody that's against the police. You know what I'm saying? I think they got their, you know, it's cops and robbers at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes you gotta think of it like this. If somebody was breaking in your house, who you calling? The police. If somebody tried to attack your mother or something like that, who you calling? The police. You know, ain't no street rules when it comes to civilians. You know what I'm saying? Speak on the king. We know the truth. There's racism everywhere. As long as people don't come out of pocket, we're going to be fine. Exactly. You know, what I have a problem is some people nowadays, like they're doing with Candance, they try to exert their racism a little bit too much and make it a little bit too much personal, almost when it's in your face. And I believe, honestly and truthfully, this doesn't come more so from Republican or people in the Republican crowd. I feel it more so from people that come from the Democratic crowd. And the reason I say that is, I think the woke generation has made a lot of problems. They allow people to feel that they can say whatever they want to say. And not to say that there wasn't racism when Trump was in office. I'd be a fool to say that. But I will say there was more emphasis put on situations that we had going on, like, you know, Freddie Gray or in other situations that were being taken care of. I mentioned to people a lot of times, I said, regardless of what you think about his politics, and I saw the Democrats try to take homage to that. And they said, well, we're the ones that got out those stimulus checks. No, you were the ones that were supposed to put out more stimulus checks. With that, anybody remember that Build Back Better program or Build Back Better bill that never came to fruition? And they said, oh, well, it's the Republicans that we got a problem with or whatever. No, it wasn't. The Republicans were all on board. If you do remember, the Republicans were the ones that signed on, and it was Trump that was in office when they signed on for those other stimulus checks. A lot of people don't even complain and say, well, we didn't get our other stimulus check we were supposed to get that Biden promised us. That money that Biden gave you with that $400, that was only because constituencies had changed and Trump was going out of the White House, but he had already approved that for American citizens that qualified for it. In my personal opinion, with all the money that we spent on these wars nationwide and, coddling our new arrivals and putting them in nice hotel rooms, where just months earlier we had kicked out American vets and American citizens that were born and raised here out of those same hotel rooms. We never had that conversation. I never understood that. I used to have, before, when the pandemic was happening in New York and a couple of these other hotels that had closed down because of the pandemic, they were housing the New York City homeless shelters and the Connecticut state homeless shelters. And they kicked all of them out, and they ended up replacing a lot of these people, believe it or not, with shelters at hotels. And so the same hotels that you had previously seen American citizens at had now been switched and been prioritized by the immigrants that were coming from South America and Africa and China, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those are being amongst good people. Not all of them are criminals or nothing like that. I don't want to put that imagery out. I think that's unfair. Plus, I come from an immigrant background, so it doesn't make too much sense. Candance versus the left. That's not fair. Collectively, they amount to a pinky toe. I hear you. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to make this quick because it's starting to get dark out here, and I want to make sure I got the light. But I wanted to come down here and make sure that I spoke for Candace Owens. I spoke up for Candace Owens, and I gave you guys a symmetry of what we see out here. I think it's unfair to treat Candace Owens the way people are treating her. I think it's unfair the way people are speaking about her. I don't see anything that she did to prove wrong of the fact that, hey, Kamala Harris is lying to us. Kamala Harris literally took her head, put it on a white girl's body, had the photo doctored, and made us think that she used to work at Wendy's. And somehow, how you see me do pieces now at Trump Tower and many other political places, right? And you notice I always point out the fact that you always have to make sure that you're in line with the common man. There's more common men in America than it is rich, opulent men. Overall, I must say this about the elections and all this. I'm used to George Carlin. I'm going to use George Carlin. George Carlin, definitely revered. I'm going to use George Carlin. This country has been bought and paid for a long time ago, and they shuffle every 4 years as a doo-doo. Hey, you might be right, man. You might be right. There's a lot of, I don't like to get into conspiracy theories, but there's a lot of things that will point towards that. I get what you're saying. Do I firmly agree with that? I don't want to say that on camera, but it's a possibility. Once again, guys, I'm going to pan the camera around here. This is actually the births. This is the street that Candace Owens grew up on here in Connecticut. I figured I'd bring y'all over here and show y'all this. Now, traditionally, and everybody knows this, that's like growing up around here, as you can hear in the background, matter of fact. If you hear the reggae music playing in the background, it's self-explanatory, but traditionally, everybody here in Connecticut knows one end of this block was traditionally Jamaican, and then another end of this block was traditionally Haitian. Now, everybody know that. You know what I'm saying? It's from this area, whatever. Y'all all know that. And as you hear that reggae music playing in the background, it proves my point. You know what I'm saying? And guys, make sure y'all tag Candace Owens in this. If you see her online or whatever, I want to let her know we down here and we got your back. Connecticut with you, Ma. You understand what I'm saying? We know that chuck when we see it. You know what I mean? So make sure y'all tag Candace Owens and let her know. This is the street itself. You feel free to Google this or whatever you want to do. I know there's a lot of doubters out there, whatever the case may be. And guys, make sure y'all hit that like button for me. I appreciate it if you would. Hit that like button. Also, guys, make sure y'all hit up the Cash App, support the channel. You know what I'm saying? Support the channel. We're going to be doing some things this week. Y'all want to see them things done on this channel, make sure y'all hit the channel, hit to the Cash App and support the channel, man. You know what I'm saying? These people don't be bringing y'all stuff like this at all. Once again, guys, we are down here. Oh, no, we don't do that. So you got the wrong idea about the podcast. He writing Kamala 2024. No. We're not doing that up in here. Kamala 2024. Kamala's a liar. And I'm not going to let her lie on one of our town girls here from Stanford, which is Candace Owens. Candace Owens grew up right here on this street. And so many people have so much to say about Candace Owens. Does this look like a neighborhood that is freaking entitled? Because this is where she grew up at, right here. And many of us know, and that's no shot to anybody, but what I'm saying is a lot of people have this thing in their mind. Oh, she's always been a, no, no, no. Candace Owens comes from humble beginnings. Y'all see them cracks in the sidewalk? Y'all see them cracks in the sidewalk? All right. So let's make sure we be clear here. So in ending this real quick, I just want to say this. Candace, we got your back. You know what I'm saying? This Big Dab and Lewis right here. We love you. You a town girl. You know what I'm saying? We gonna never turn that on you. You know what I mean? We know there's a lot of chuck up in the air, a lot of BS up in the air talking about you ain't proved your point. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I'm going to say it one more time. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And I want more people to acknowledge the fact that Candace Owens is not an enemy. Candace Owens, like I said, and she's always been known as, Candace Owens is actually an attribute to the community. And if more people would start realizing that and instead stop trying to downsize her like you do many of your heroes or people trying to speak up for you, you'd be in a better place. Once again, guys, I'm here at the Brook and the home she grew up, Spruce Street, right here in Connecticut. I wanted to come down here and speak on Candace Owens. Candace Owens is from right here, as amongst as other people that are here from in Connecticut, Dr. George Shorewood, and others that are from right here in town in Connecticut. And we like to pay homage to them. But in particular, Candace Owens grew up right here on this street, right here in Connecticut. And traditionally, most people know that this side of Spruce Street it's always been Haitian or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then this part of Spruce Street has always been traditionally Trini Jamaican. You understand what I'm saying? And it remains that, as y'all heard the reggae music in the background to prove my point. So I just want to say shout out to Candace Owens. We got your back. We see the bullshit. And I want to say, Mama, we love you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I don't care if you got a white husband. And they just throw so much out. You know what I'm saying? Like some chicks, I think, they get a white husband because they up to something. Some women, they get a white husband because that's who they fall in love with. If you knew the character of women, especially black women here in Connecticut, and most people that do know the behavior of black women here in Connecticut, it's 50-50. You get hood chicks or you get more so chicks like Candace Owens that speak like Candace Owens and act like Candace Owens. I mean, we kind of breed them here, you know what I'm saying? So, not to be funny or whatever, but she is a typical articulate Connecticut black woman. And so I thought dissing her, I think it makes the state look bad. I think people that are dissing her and you from the state, you're making yourself look bad. And I would just say to black folks, I'm not trying to swerve your, you know what I mean? Your opinion on who you want to vote for. But Candace Owens definitely pointed out that this woman is lying, all right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right here on Spruce Street, right here in Connecticut, this is where Candace Owens is from. I'm gonna pan the camera over here for a minute, let you guys check this out right here. This is actually the street that Candace grew up on right here, very humble, very humble, very humble, very humble. And as you guys hear that reggae music playing in the back, the neighborhood has stayed traditionally what it is. One half of this neighborhood has always been traditionally Jamaican, Trinidadian. You see what I deal with? You can't get massive back type. You know what I'm saying? And then the other end over here has always been traditionally Haitian. Chapasse, on compris, oui, ça va. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. But this is the neighborhood that Candace Owens grew up in. As you can see, it's very humble. It's very humble. You know what I'm saying? And as you can see from the rocks on the concrete, everything's bent up. Shit real out here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want y'all to think, and I show Candace Owens, if you just come back here and show these folks where you grew up at, I think it would change the minds of a lot of people as far as how they perceive you. Because a lot of these people evidently think you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. You understand what I'm saying here? And that's just not the case. As I said earlier, believe it or not, here in the home in Connecticut, Candace Owens originally sued the high school here for types of racial discrimination or whatever, and Candace Owens actually won. So like I said, a lot of times I don't do lives here in the state of Connecticut. I think that's going to change because there's a lot of history out here that I want to take y'all through too, not just in New York, and I'm going to start doing that a little bit more. So one of those spots that I wanted to stop at was right here on Spruce Street here in lovely Connecticut, the home. I won't say the birthplace because she was actually born in New York, but she grew up here, so she doesn't know much about New York. You know what I'm saying? So, Candace, we got your back. We love you, Mom. And that's it. Make sure y'all tag her in this. Make sure she gets this. Let her know that people got her back out here. We're not all against Candace Owens and think Candace Owens is a bad woman, because Candace Owens told the truth. And that's what it is. Guys, that's my time. It's getting dark out here, live from Spruce Street here in Connecticut, home of Candace Owens, who y'all know as a featured Republican pundit spoke, but also a woman that was pro-black from the start and also a Democrat. So keep that in mind when y'all talk about her. That's right. Blessings and keep her under control. Guys, I will talk to y'all later. Tag her in this. Let her know we was down here at the town. And Candace, if you see this, the thing you need to do is hop on a plane, come back here for a minute, walk around the town, breathe. You understand what I'm saying? And go live and show these people where you're from. That's what they need to see from you. They need to be equated with normalcy. You understand? Always reach out to the normal man. You'll find that you'll find some surprises. Other than that, guys, live from Connecticut, live from the growing up and the rearing of Candace Owens, one of your #1 pundits. I am Davin Lewis, and I'm out of here.